call this meeting to order. And Councilman Glory Jordan, would you do us the honor of the invocation?
Yes.
Please.
God, as we come before you, we thank you for your presence and your direction over this meeting tonight. We ask that you impart wisdom to us over decisions to be made. As council members, you have entrusted us to help the people of the Cherokee Nation. Help us to make the best decisions for our people. We pray for each family that we represent. May their needs be met in whatever issues they face in their daily lives. We pray for our soldiers and ask that you keep your hand of protection upon them and return them home safely to their families. God, grant your favor upon the Cherokee Nation and our country. Amen.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Next item is roll call. Ms. Britton.
Bill Nicklin.
Here.
Bill John Baker.
Here.
Jack Baker.
Here.
Harley Buzzer.
Here.
Juliet Coates.
Here.
Bradley Cobb.
Honey.
Joe Crittenden.
Here.
Jody Fisher-Top.
Here.
Meredith Brayley.
Here.
Janelle Fulbright.
Here.
Don Garvin. Chuck Huskin Jr.
Here.
China Glory Jordan.
Present.
Curtis Snell.
Here.
Chris Stokes.
Here.
David Thornton.
Present.
Sarah Cowan Watson.
Honey.
We do have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Next order of business is approval of the minutes of the October 13 regular session.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion on the October 13 minutes? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Minutes stand as written. On the October 23rd special session minutes, do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Minutes stand as written. Yes, Mr. Baker?
Madam Chairman, at this time I would make a motion to amend the agenda for 3 items that all are time sensitive and need to be dealt with tonight. Item number, what I would propose to be item number 7 would be the compact with the state of Oklahoma, approving it. The number 8 would be a rebate to the border shops, and number 9 would be a recognition of Sheriff Jerry Prather from Claremore.
Have a motion to amend. Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion on the motion to amend the agenda? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And that's under new business, new items 7, 8, and 9. Okay, next order of business is State of the Nation, Principal Chief Chad Smith.
Good evening. It's my opportunity honor to address you this evening on the State of the Nation, November 2008. It's the month of Thanksgiving, and it brings to perspective how many things we have to be thankful for, especially when we know that many of our families have lost loved ones during this last month. Let us remember and honor them tonight as we list their names. James W. Carpenter, Willie Rapier, Fanny Dick, Bonita Cavanis, Rudy Russell and Eli Gord, Lyle Spike Sutton, Ann Lilliard, Hope Smith Sober, who wrote the book The Intruders, David Miller, Thomas Monroe Dick. Are there others that the council would like to acknowledge at this time? If not, if we'll take a moment of silence to remember them and their families in these times of sorrow. Wadeau. As we all know, tomorrow is Veterans Day. It's a very special day for Cherokees as we honor all of our military personnel. Today we had a ceremony led by Rogan Nobles to honor our veterans. And I've often thought that we ought to change the national month for Indians from November, based upon the affinity for pilgrims, to a month that really did capture the essence of Indian folks. And I would probably change it to July, maybe the 4th of July, because as we know in military history, no class of people have had a higher enlistment rate or higher decoration rate. And the month of true patriotism is that month of July. That honors our country and, of course, honors our nation. But tomorrow is Veterans Day. It's our greatest opportunity to express our appreciation for veterans. I'm asking Joe Grayson, Jr., our Deputy Principal Chief, to share a few words with us. He's led our veterans' efforts to honor those, and he is a highly decorated Vietnam veteran. So, Joe, if you'll share a few words with us.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chief. Tomorrow is a day we honor our veterans, those living and especially those who have died in combat, far away from their homes, their families, their children, and their wives. Let's not forget that the war is still going on in Iraq, and we have casualties there. And nowadays we have women who are serving in the military alongside men. It used to be that if you wanted an invitation to fight, you told somebody that their mother wore combat boots. But nowadays it's a term of endearment. I once told a girl who was leaving for Iraq, I asked her what the prettiest thing in the world was. And she kind of looked at me and said, I don't know. And I said, it's a woman in BDUs and combat boots. And she laughed and she said, well, when I come back, I'm going to kiss you on the cheek. And I hope I'm here because I want that kiss. But let's not forget our veterans. Would all you veterans in the audience please stand? We thank you for your service. And all those veterans on the council, would you please stand? The Cherokee Nation is very proud of our veterans, Cherokee and non-Cherokee. We know the importance of service to our country, and we appreciate all the support that we can get. In this day and age, and I'm an old Vietnam veteran, I do not forget the veterans. Even when I'm traveling in airports and in hotels, if I see a service person, I always run up and shake their hand and thank them. And at first they're startled, but then I tell them I'm an old Vietnam veteran and I understand what it's like to get a homecoming, because we didn't get one, much like everybody else who served in that unpopular war. I'm going to shut up and let Chad get on. Thank you very much, and thank you, veterans, for your service.
Well, I certainly have a new vision in my mind about Miss America. We're very proud of our Cherokee Nation Color Guard for their service and their continued dedication to the Cherokee Nation. These are warriors who represent us so well, and tomorrow they will march in the Veterans Day Parade in New York City and have been asked to represent us at the reopening of the USS Intrepid Museum in New York City Harbor. Tonight we honor 4 veterans tonight, all Cherokee Nation employees. Ben Stevens was born in Muskogee. After high school, he attended the Air Force Academy, graduating in 1968. Ben was a pilot in the Air Force, flying C-130s all over the United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia. After Vietnam, his last assignment was as an instructor pilot at the Air Force Academy. He was honorably discharged in 1976. Ben is currently the program director of the Cherokee Elder Care and currently lives in Tahlequah with his wife of 40 years, Carol. They have 2 grown children who Ben says, thankfully, they live on their own. Ben, if you'll come forward and let us acknowledge you.
Children that being a doctor, the nephew of Tommy Thompson, don't yell if I sick you, okay? Ow. Ben, it gives us great pride and pleasure to present you with the National Medal, Cherokee National Medal for Patriotism. It is an award we have earned, and we are deeply honored. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sir, a few words.
This is an honor to serve in the military for the U.S., but it is a great honor to also represent the Cherokee Nation. Thank you.
For those of you who do not know Ben, he is the grandson or nephew of Tommy Thompson, the coach at Sequoia, who our football field is named after.
Also from Ada County. Rogan Noble was born in Lawrence, Kansas, now resides in the Walhalla community in Adair County. Rogan graduated high school in 1966 and enlisted in the United States Marine Corps. And if I understand, is it today or tomorrow the Marine Corps' birthday? Today. Well, Richard Allen will quickly let us know about that. He received his training as a radio man in San Diego, California. Later, he was assigned to the 3rd Marine Division and served a tour in Vietnam with Task Force H. He also served in Okinawa, Japan, and Subic Bay, Philippines, and finished his enlistment as a Marine at Marine Base Camp, Pendleton, California. Rogan was honorably discharged in 1972. He is now employed with the Cherokee Nation as a tribal veterans representative. Rogan, if you'll come down and let us acknowledge you.
It's quite an honor to present you with the Medal of Patriotism. And it is an honor, it is not good. And, even if you're a Marine, I give you a lot of respect. Thank you so much.
Can you say a few words?
It's been an honor and privilege to serve in the armed forces on behalf of all the citizens of the Cherokee Nation. And it's also been an honor and privilege to serve the veterans of the Cherokee Nation. Thank you very much.
Larry D. Ketcher was born in Tahlequah at W.W. Hastings Hospital. He's the son of the late Reverend Keith Ketcher and Anna Forkilder Ketcher. He graduated from Stillwell High School and went on to NSU, where he completed his Bachelor of Science degree in Education in 1972. After a couple of months after graduating, he was selected to enter the U.S. Army, where he served in the 2nd and 5th Artillery in Europe. During his tour of duty, his occupation was computer operator and maps draftsman. Larry held secret clearance due to the high security work of headquarters operations and the units the division supported. After his military service, he began a career with the Cherokee Nation and will complete 34 years of employment and service to the Cherokee Nation in December. Larry, if you'll come down and let us acknowledge you.
Yes, with everything. Jody, would you come down, please?
Okay.
Would you pin this on Larry? I sure will. It's right there. Larry, this gives us great honor and pleasure to present you with the National Medal of Patriotism. Thank you so much. And you have earned this award. Now, around here, I have to call him Larry. But when we're alone, I call him Pudge, because I've known him since he was a little boy.
That's it. My name.
It's a little hard sometimes. Say a few words, please.
I think I've got many words to say, but I'll keep it short. We're the land of the free because of the brave men, the brave women that have served our country in the United States military. And because of the brave men and the brave women, we're free to do the work that we do here at home. And the great Cherokee Nation has provided a home place and a place to come back to. We talk about welcome when you come home. There was not much welcome as I got off the airplane in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I was alone. And that's the welcome that many of our servicemen received and got when they returned home from Vietnam, in the Vietnam service area. So it was good to get home and get on home ground and come home to the family. Jody is my wife of 30 years. We're celebrating 30 years today. We have a daughter, Camille, a granddaughter, Micah, my sister at the back of the room, Linda Ketcher. She's been strong support. My sister, Pat, at the other side of the room. She's my younger sister, and when I got off the plane in Tulsa, I called home. I said, I need a ride. I'm home by myself and I can't drive. So I took a cab from Tulsa to Stillwell, all the way home. And at that time, I paid, I think, $75, and I tipped the driver $25, so I got by with a $100 taxi fare coming home. And there's more stories, and that's about it for now. So thank you for the award. I appreciate it.
Dr. Richard L. Allen was born in 1947 at the W.W. Hastings Hospital in Tahlequah and reared in the Briggs community. In 1965, Tahlequah High School graduate, enrolled at NSU and completed the fall semester before he and his lifelong friend, James L. Chooch Hare, enlisted in the Marine Corps. Sergeant Allen was assigned to the 9th Marine Amphibious Brigade in Okinawa before going to Vietnam. In 1969, Sergeant Allen was assigned to the Special Landing Force Bravo in Vietnam, which was an amphibious force that provided ship-to-shore combat operations. During his service, Dr. Allen received many honors, including the National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Good Conduct Medal, and the Vietnam Cross of Gallantry. Sergeant Allen returned to the United States and was discharged on November 6, 1969 at Camp Pendleton, California. In addition to serving the Cherokee Nation as a policy analyst, Dr. Allen is the National Congress of American Indians Veterans Committee co-chair, an appointment that he has held since 1996. Richard, if you'll come and let us acknowledge you.
You do the honors, please. Please don't. Richard, we're very pleased, and it's a pleasure to present you with Cherokee National Medal of Patriotism. Thank you. I want to tell you a little story about Richard. I went to school with Richard and his brother. And years ago, when I was here, I looked around and all my friends were in the service. And Richard's a little older than I am, so I considered him one of my peers. And when I looked around and everybody was gone, I thought I would just go with them. So it's friends like Richard and a few others that I went into the service. I volunteered, but Richard's part of the reason I went. And thank you, Richard. A few words.
I mentioned I went into the Marine Corps with James L. Chu Chair. I just wanted to mention that James L. Chu Chair served 33 months in Vietnam. I feel like I didn't serve any time at all in comparison. We all went our different ways in the service. We all came home almost the same way. I came home into Tulsa on November 10th, 1969. I came home on Veterans Day, 1969. Unlike Larry, I didn't have a whole lot of combat pay to pay for a taxi, but I stayed at my uncle's on November 10th. I caught a bus back on the 11th, got into Tahlequah, and it was kind of quiet. It's not quite that quiet anymore, and certainly appreciated the fact that I had been a Marine for a number of years, and one of the most difficult things to do was go home, and there was no one home when I got there, and take off that uniform for the last time. It was a very difficult thing, and proud of my military service, proud to have served the United States, proud to have served as a Marine, proud to be a Cherokee and to be a veteran. Thank you.
In terms of legislative policy news, tonight the council will vote on whether or not to accept a new tobacco compact with the state of Oklahoma. The compact provides for a flat tax rate of $6.65 per carton of cigarettes and enables the Cherokee Nation to provide a subsidy to border smoke shops that are competing with Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas retailers. Last month, the Cherokee Nation Tribal Council held a special meeting where they voted to support the federal recognition of the Delaware Tribe of Indians. I want to thank the council for the unanimous vote to ratify the measure between the Cherokee Nation and the Delawares. Discussions are being conducted with the Bureau of Indian Affairs now. Last week, the Cherokee Nation's Commerce Department opened a new office for its Small Business Assistance Center located in Claremore on Highway 66. Commerce Department also worked to get portions of Highway 10 and 412 designated as an official Oklahoma Scenic Byway. They are currently in the process of applying for federal recognition. It's gratifying to know that others see this area of the Cherokee Nation as both historically important and visually beautiful. The Cherokee Nation's Cultural Tourism Department is providing free educational tours to cultural and historic sites that are significant to Cherokee culture. The tours are available to 3rd to 5th graders, provide an authentic look into Cherokee history and stories. Cherokee Nation Health Services was recently honored as being named the 2008 Exemplary Tribal Organization for Comprehensive Cancer Control, implemented by the Sea Change, a national cancer organization. This award will take place later this week and will be presented by President George Bush. Deputy Chief Grayson will be accepting the award for us. Cherokee Nation Enterprises opened the doors of the new West Siloam Springs Casino today. I'm sure Mr. Stewart is anxious. I don't think he's here. I think Sean is going to speak for him. I did talk to him this afternoon. There's 70% occupancy on the machines, which is the same occupancy on a great night on Friday night. I'd encourage everybody to go up and look at it, even if you don't game, because it is another example of an effort to share Cherokee history and culture through its architecture and art. We wish the staff at West Siloam every success in the new building. The Cherokee Nation Roads Department will host a road dedication and fish fry on Tuesday, November 18th at 6:30 at the cafeteria at Kansas High School. The road dedication is for the Daytown Dry Creek Road Project. The $7.7 million project was financed through the Cherokee Nation's Indian Reservation Roads funding effort. Last week, the Cherokee Nation contributed $145,000 to several Boys and Girls Clubs of America chapters located in the Cherokee Nation. More than 16,000 youth participate in activities provided by these local Boys and Girls Clubs organizations. Christmas is coming upon us. The Angel Tree Project is gearing up for a very busy holiday season. The program helps ease the burden of holiday spending for low-income Native American families and helps everyone celebrate Christmas by allowing community members to anonymously provide toys and gifts. Angel Tree gives each of us a chance to show our holiday spirit by personally giving to a child. Anyone wanting to participate can call our main number at 918-453-5000 and ask for the Angel Tree. And of course, we also have to reflect back on Christmas as a time of giving. What becomes a great opportunity with the Angel Tree is that we can personally get involved in the lives of somebody who is less fortunate. It gives us the opportunity to enjoy Christmas as we might not otherwise. And the last note is Sequoia School's football team will compete in championship playoffs starting this Friday. They're 9-1. And there ought to be a law against Vian. They broke up our perfect season. Beat us by one touchdown on a kickoff return, wasn't it?
Very exciting game.
Really. So both Vian and Sequoia will be in the playoffs, and we hope that we'll see each other again in that course. So it's an exciting time in the Cherokee Nation. Thank you very much for the opportunity to appear in front of you, Odo.
Thank you, Chief Spick. Next order of business, action of unfinished business. There's none pending. We'll hear committee reports, and the first report is Housing Authority, David Sutherland. Good evening, Mr. Sutherland.
Good evening. Have a really brief report, so I'm going to talk a little slow. Now, Housing Authority's regular board meeting will be the 18th, week from tomorrow, in the Allen Hogner Administrative Conference Room. The meeting, as always, begins at 5:30. We've been busy with year-end activities here at the Nation and the Housing Authority. The auditors will be in later this month at the Housing Authority to begin their on-site work. We have the books ready to go and closed, and our staff's been gathering the information that they always request this time of year, and I think staff's already ready for them to come and go. So, like I said, the auditors will be there next week, and then hopefully soon after that we'll be gone. I'll be attending the Southern Plains Indian Housing Association meeting later this week. One of the topics that they're going to have some training on has to do with handicap and disabled definitions. We currently require a person to receive Social Security benefits to be considered handicapped or disabled. That could change. I'll give the council more details on that issue once I get more information. So at some point in time, we may revise our policy to be a little more flexible in that area. Community Shield program continues to do well with approximately 2,300 families participating. We're real proud of that program. Still got a lot of folks that come and go each month, but it's doing well. That's my report for the evening. If anyone has any questions, be happy to try to answer them.
Questions, comments for Mr. Sutherland? For the report. Next report is Cherokee Nation Enterprises, Mr. Slayton. Good evening, Sean.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. Our financial results for September were very good, very strong, especially considering the economic crisis that kind of occurred the last week of September and the first week of October. The results were similar to what we see historically over the years. I've been here going on 12, and our business volume runs on a cycle. It's soft in September, October, November, and December, begins to build in January through July and August. So we expect to see that same trend continue. And we anticipate that with the economy like it is, that we may see an additional impact from that, and are working to try to mitigate that as much as possible. But the additional contribution that we made through tax collections was $95,000 to the tribe, and we're happy about that. As Chief Smith mentioned, I'm happy and pleased to report that we did do a soft opening today at 1 o'clock at West Siloam. People were anxious to get in, especially out of the cold and the rain, and it went off pretty much without a hitch. There were a few little glitches that delayed it about an hour, but we got open. People came in and were very happy and just almost joyous with what they found. And on behalf of our employees, I want to express our appreciation to the support we get from administration and the council to allow us to do those type of things. And I think what we've delivered there is something that everyone will be proud of. It's very, very nice. And as Chief said, I encourage you to get up there and see it as soon as you can. And when you do, if you see one of our employees, pat them on the back. For the employees that have been up there, and for the ones that have been through the openings at Catoosa, the last month is really tough on them. It's tough on them as individuals, and it's tough behind the scenes with their families because they're putting in lots and lots and lots of hours, especially this last week and a half or 2 weeks. Extraordinary effort on their part. Gary Waddell and his group in operations just really turned the corner and pushed that thing through to open today. It's a beautiful facility, and we're very proud of it. We had a lot of help from the nation. Charlie Soap and his group are helping us with water, gas, and sewer issues that we ran into up there. I'm pleased to announce that we did reach an agreement with the city of Siloam Springs and the town of West Siloam, and so we've got water and sewer going there. Billy Hicks, Lisa West, and their department in health bent over backwards and did health inspections when we asked them to and need them to make special things. And then Diane Kelly and John Overacre, special thanks to them for throughout the project helping us with taro issues and finding staff and laborers and things like that. So it was a joint effort from everybody, and we're very appreciative of the help. Everything is up and going. The buffet, the only thing that's not there is the salad bar and the dessert, and that'll be there Thursday night. The steakhouse, I think, will open a week from Wednesday. They're going to do some practice over the coming week. So I think they said unless they really get good in a hurry, they're going to wait till next Wednesday. I volunteered to test their steaks and everything for a week. At Catoosa, we plan to open December 15th, and we're up against the wire on making that happen. Short order, but we're going to do everything we can to try to meet that date. Our employment statistics continue to hold at about 60% Cherokee employment, and we were afraid that opening Siloam and hiring a lot of help that we wouldn't be able to maintain that, and it looks like we did, and we're happy about that. I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have any.
Questions, comments? Mr. Slayton?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brian Collins, Cherokee Nation Industries. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Council. First order of business here, I want to let you know that our next board meeting is December 16th in Stillwell at 2 o'clock. For those that can attend, or if you can show up a little early, we are having a Christmas luncheon on that date. Recently, on October 23rd and 24th, I had the privilege of taking approximately 30 employees to Amarillo, and we toured the Bell helicopter facility, where the employees were able to see the V-22s and H-1 helicopters, Cobra helicopters, Yankees, being assembled. and they were able to actually go into the production lines. Bill allowed us to go in and actually see how the product that they build, how it was installed, and literally be hands-on with their employees. It was a great experience. It's something that throughout this next year I'm going to try to establish more opportunities for our employees to see how their product is going in. And it is a great honor, I know, for the employees to be able to do this and to recognize their contributions to our warfighters. And again, and tomorrow we'll be recognizing the veterans of CNI and having a recognition day, and also having cake and a quick prayer to offer up to our warfighters that are out there every day taking care of our freedom. And when you see the work and the diligence that goes on within our employees and our staff, because most of our product is immediately deployed. Once it hits the assembly line, it is deployed and used for rescue missions and just for any other type of mission that may be going on. Currently we have 408 employees in the local area, 86% Cherokee. And let's see here, there's been a lot of ongoing activities in supporting the strength, for supporting the Cherokee Nation, and also supporting the activities of all the various business units that we have. There's not a financial update tonight. It's still early in the month. We're still consolidating and are pulling together all the financials for the October that we'll be able to report at the next DNF. So that concludes my report. Brief, but if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Anyone have any questions, comments? Mr. Collins? No? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Cherokee Nation Business, Mr. Carson. Good evening, Mr. Carson.
Good evening, Madam Speaker. I will be brief as well. I'll give a more elaborate financial report after the books are closed for fiscal year 08 at the next ENF meeting. Just a couple of words by way of announcement, perhaps. Some of you may have read in the paper that we at CNB are very excited in being one of the few recipients in the country and the only tribal organization to receive an allocation of the New Market tax credits. The program is not as well known as it should be, but it is the federal government's most powerful economic development tool. We received a $60 million allocation, one of the largest in the country. It's a very competitive process, and we were the only tribal organization to receive one. We have service areas where these tax credits must be deployed, and it is the 14 counties of the Cherokee Nation. There are some other restrictions that go with it about eligible areas. They're meant to be deployed in areas that are high poverty and high unemployment, so not all of the 14 counties is eligible, but most of many of the counties are eligible. And so I've already talked to a couple of the council members about those, and really after the new year is when these will be formally awarded, and we'll unveil our strategy and talk about how we're going to use these to bring jobs to northeastern Oklahoma. Along that way, as I said, we're going to be closing the book soon on all of the entities, and there's some just last-minute accounting adjustments being made. But for all the various C and B entries, the return on their assets far exceeds what they were budgeted to do for the year. And so we'll give a rundown of each of the companies that we have authority over and how they actually performed. And as a final matter, of course, there's Cherokee Nation Waste Management, the landfill company. As many of you know, we at CNB have been running that. Dina Geib and I have had a lot of responsibility for that. We are pleased to announce that a Chief Executive Officer for Cherokee Nation Waste Management has been hired, and that will be Tom Elkins, who many of you know well here and has served the Cherokee Nation ably. And he will be starting next week, full-time, to run the Cherokee Nation Waste Management Company. And we have high hopes for that organization, not only in running the landfill, but they will be on the cutting edge of waste management services, environmental services in the future. And I know Tom will do a great job with that, as he's done here for the nation. So we're very pleased by that. With that, Madam Speaker, I'd be happy to answer any questions that people might have.
Any questions, comments? It's none.
Thank you so much.
For business, it's old business and none pending, so I'll move to new business. Under the Health Committee, coming out of Health Committee is item 1, is a resolution supporting and endorsing the Health Capital Improvement Plan. Dr. Cobb or Ms. Fulbright?
This is a resolution supporting and endorsing the Cherokee Nation Health and Capital Improvement Plan. While substantial portions of the plan have been completed, critical facility needs still exist, and the pending operation of W.W. Hastings Hospital by the nation presents an opportunity to renew support and commitment to the overall long-range health plan, and I'd move for approval.
Second.
Moved and second. Any discussion? Any discussion?
By acclamation.
I have a question, Dr. Cobb.
Yes, Madam Speaker.
Under this plan, when can we expect realistic and specific benchmarks and timelines for completing those items that were described in the plan?
That's a good question. I think in my dealings with the council, I think that seems to be the underlying theme is timeline. I know Melissa Gower is under the weather. Would the Secretary of State like to handle that one, maybe?
Good evening, Melanie.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Speaker. As is indicated in the attachment to the resolution, we've identified some proposed sources of funds for each of those capital improvement projects. I think probably timing has to do a lot with the sources of funds, dealing with each of those. In some cases, we would like to seek joint venture funding so that we can get funds from Indian Health Service to help support the operation of those facilities, because operational funds have to be paired with the capital improvement expansions. So not only do we seek construction funds, but we seek operational funds. And so those have to be identified in both cases before we can go forward with a project. In some cases, we'll be able to fund proposed projects with third-party revenues if we're expanding services. So as we go forward, we'll be able to identify more specifics as we nail down what those sources really will be and what sources we're going to seek. In some cases, in the case of joint venture, for example, we will make application. We may or may not be approved for those projects, so we'll have to have plans B and C probably to fund those projects. And so as those funding realities become known, we'll be able to attach specific timelines and deadlines for completing them.
Do you have a specific strategic planning committee to go about all of this that you've just described? Is that the way it's processed?
The way we typically have done that is that Melissa has a strategy group, a department within the health services group. It's about 2 or 3 people, and that's what they work on, is to seek joint venture funding. They do the planning with Indian Health Service. They plan out whether third-party revenues can be used to support an expansion or a project, and to what degree, because of course they have to be new revenues if we're going to expand services. So all of those things they work on, and then they bring those forward for implementation.
So I guess what I'm hearing you say is that funding has to be available before you can develop or establish like a 3-year or even a 2-year action plan on all of these different. Well, you haven't established priorities yet because that depends on funding also.
To some degree it does. I mean, to some degree we can say these are the things we will work, as a priority matter to seek funding for first. But it is dependent on which types of funding comes forward first in terms of how we're able to move forward. And as we do identify sources of funding, as I said, some may be the first, like we may seek federal funding first on one project, and then we have the second level we'll seek this type of funding, and maybe the last level is that we seek bond revenue funding, which would be the nation funding such a project. But the operations and the capital improvement funding have to be identified for us to move forward.
Okay. Thank you, Melanie.
If I may just expand on that just a little bit, I think we talked about this in committee. The only projects, and correct me if I'm wrong, the only projects that can be funded by third-party revenue are the Bonita Clinic, the Jack Brown Center in Tahlequah, and the Ambulatory Surgery Center in Tahlequah. Everything else has to be, we've got to find construction dollars for it.
That's right.
I think that's correct.
And the reason for that is third party comes from expansions of services. In the case of Bonita, for example, it's planned as a joint venture. We would fund the construction. Indian Health Service comes in and funds operational, which generates third-party revenue, which we can use to fund the facility itself. So all of that has to come together in order for a project to be launched.
Any other questions, comments? Yes, Ms. Honey Glory, Jordan?
Melanie, if I understand you right, do we not have any idea who we want to do these joint ventures with at this point in time?
You mean which projects we want to seek joint venture
No, I
funds?
see listed here which ones you want to do joint ventures.
Oh.
And I assume joint ventures means with some other
Oh,
group.
yes. Joint venture in the case of this plan is kind of a term of art. It's a program that is operated by Indian Health Service. Indian Health Service funds the operation if the tribe comes forward and commits the construction dollars. And the reason that's beneficial is the operational dollars are in the base budget and continue on a recurring basis. So we'll get a certain, as we did in Muskogee, for example, we'd get a certain amount of dollars on a recurring basis to operate the health services at that facility.
So if we know we can do joint ventures with the government, you still can't give us a timetable when this might occur?
We can't always, because joint venture is a competitive process, and we'll submit a proposal based on what we think is the best opportunity for us to get awarded, but it's competing with projects all across the nation for those slots that Indian Health Service has, and they only have a certain amount of dollars to allocate for that.
Do you currently have any proposals out for joint venture?
I'm thinking about that. I think we do have at least one that we've submitted but not heard on yet. And I can't
Do you
remember.
know which one that might be?
It
On
is-
this list?
It is
it on
not
this
yet.
list?
I know that we're looking at proposing J as a joint venture, but that proposal has not been submitted yet.
So which one is out?
Let me get this list here.
On joint venture, we have the surgery center, you have the Sam Hyder replacement, and you only have those two. So do you have the surgery center out now as a joint venture?
The joint venture, Councilman Jordan, the joint venture is a term of art within Indian Health Service. We probably should have used a more precise language on the surgery center. That's a joint venture with the city of Tahlequah.
Right.
But
Are we working on that now?
yes, absolutely. That's in this queue. The other thing that's part of the Indian Health Service joint venture is that it's an appropriation and an issue. So one of the things that we do is we lobby Indian Health Service in Congress to put more money into that line item, and we actually lobby to try to get bumped up on the priority scale. So our Government Resources Group is continually lobbying to try to get that line item funded across the nation, and that we have a better competitive advantage for that. So it's not only the financial planning and the construction planning and the service planning, it's also a lobbying effort too.
Chief, would it not be prudent for at least some representatives from the council to be part of any strategic committee regarding this health plan and its implementation in the future?
We would love to do that, yes. In fact, I believe that's really one of the functions of the health committee, is to be a participant in that process.
I think we have a motion on the table for this, right?
Yes, we have.
Can we add to this that a portion of this council will sit with the strategic planning group on this?
Do you want that as a friendly?
Yes, as a friendly amendment.
Dr. Cobb?
I have camped out in Melissa's office plenty of times, and anyone is more than welcome to camp out with me if that's...
Let me suggest this. Where you would like to revisit the master health care plan, and I think we discussed that during the times that we were talking about Hastings. So if you'd like to table it, I think that would be appropriate. and we can advise you of the process to reevaluate the master health care plan. It has been several years, and many of those on the council today weren't available at the time that that occurred. It's a very sophisticated process, but it's something we would welcome.
Mr. Hoskin?
What I'm hearing from you, Chief, is a suggestion that we table this to address the issues raised by Councilor Gloria Jordan. Is that your suggestion?
Actually, I would encourage you to table it and let us brief you on the process to revisit our master health care plan, ask your participation, and then at that time the resolution may have more force and meaning.
This really reinforces, Madam Speaker, what I believed at committee, which is that this resolution, as much support as it's going to garner, actually has zero impact on the administration. We asked Ms. Gower during committee meeting, what were the consequences if we tabled this? And I understood her to say that she would have to hold up, that perhaps some of the process would be frozen. And for that reason, I think we passed this, even though I believed all along it ought to be a legislative act with some more teeth. And now I think what we're hearing is that, in fact, tabling it is really neither here nor there as far as the progress on these projects go. So I'm still unclear as to what impact this resolution is going to have on the administration. I do think, though, it reinforces the idea that a resolution really has no bearing on what they're going to do. What we really need is an act. But I think that shows that tonight.
I respectfully disagree with the good councilman, Benita.
Ms. Calm-Watts?
I was going to move to table.
Second. In a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
No.
One no. Okay, we table that to next month. Yes, Mr. Hembry?
What may be the more appropriate motion is to refer back to committee, to the Health Committee. If you table it from the full council, you're just tabling it back to next month's full council. So I would ask that a motion be made to refer this back to the Health Committee.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay, it's tabled back to Health Committee. Resource Committee is item 2, is a resolution authorizing a grant application for an exchange network. Mr. Snell.
It is a resolution authorizing the Cherokee Nation Environmental Program to submit a formal grant application to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for an exchange network grant. And I would move for its approval.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item 3 is a resolution authorizing an application to FEMA for a planning grant. Ms. Calm-Watts?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is for the plan and not the actual grants, but it would enable us to apply then for grant money that could fund up to 75% of hazard mitigation projects such as storm shelters, tornado sirens, weather radios, and actually an automatic shutoff for air intake at Hastings Hospital as a facility, and I'd like to move for approval.
Second the motion.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 4 is a resolution submitting the forest management plan to the Bureau of Indian Affairs. Mr. Snell.
Yes, this is a resolution authorizing the submission for the Cherokee Nation Forest Management Plan to the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and that the nation formally support and adopt the rules and regulations. I would move for its approval.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Executive Finance Committee, item 5 is an act amending the budget for fiscal year 2009, Mod 1. Mr. Baker.
Yes, Madam Speaker, as you said, this is the first budget mod for the fiscal year 2009. It includes several items, including an increase of just over $1 million for the Community Development Financial Institution loan pool, $3.5 million brought forward from the prior year funding for Health Equipment Replacement Fund, $172,000 for the Oakport Indian Housing Plan for new construction, and $144,000 EPA grant for the same courthouse. And I would make a motion for its approval.
By acclamation.
By acclamation.
By acclamation. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Budget mod passes. Item 6 is an act authorizing the cancellation and replacement of the 2006 series healthcare bonds. Mr. Baker.
Act to authorize the cancellation and replacement of the Cherokee Series 2006 healthcare system bonds from certain bondholders with a face value of $3,365,000 at a discount rate of 94.375. The bonds were repurchased utilizing the Motor Fuels Tax Scholarship Reserve Fund. This fund will be repaid at the stated interest rate of 4.3% for the bonds until maturity of 2016 from the Cherokee Nation healthcare system's originally pledged third-party revenues. I make a motion for its approval.
Second.
Moved in second. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries by acclamation. Item 7 is an act approving the compact between the Cherokee Nation and the State of Oklahoma, known as the Cherokee Nation State Tobacco Tax Compact Act of 2008. Mr. Thornton.
Yes, Madam Chairman. The purpose of this act is the nation and the state agreed to enter into a compact for the mutual benefit of both sovereign governments. In recognition of the sovereign authority of the Cherokee Nation to exercise the powers of self-government and the sovereign authority of the state of Oklahoma to act as an independent sovereign state. This law authorized the principal chief to approve a compact and to take the necessary action to implement the requirements of its provisions as authorized and approved by the Council of the Cherokee Nation. I'd like to make a motion to pass this compact, but I want to make a few comments. And my comments are to the administration. And I think you're to be commended on this compact. There's 3 items in this compact that we really haven't discussed, and the Cherokee Nation's administration have brought them forward. And they're key beneficial points in the new 2008 Tobacco Compact. And in Section 10, this section is about arbitration. And if the state and the Cherokee Nation go into arbitration and they can't make a decision, or they do make a decision and one or the other doesn't like it, this authorizes either party to bring action in the United States District Court for review of any arbitration award. And that is, that's something new, and we really appreciate that. And all 3 of these that I'm going to bring forward, I hope are brought forward in the gaming compact to come. But I think that's maybe laying the base for it. But the second one is in Section 13. This is the most favorable nations section that allows tobacco payment terms and conditions of another tribe's compact to be incorporated in this compact without adopting the other tribe's entire compact. And we didn't lose that, and I'm glad that you stuck with it through the negotiations with the government. And the third one that I want to bring forward is Section 17. This section is very important. It is the forgive and forget section. Both parties agreed to fully release each other from all actions and any taxes owed to this date. It also dismisses the ongoing arbitration proceedings. And I think that's great. And I commend y'all for a job well done. Thank you.
Second.
Second. Now we'll have further discussion. Any other discussion? Mr. Thornton, you want this by acclamation?
Yes, please.
All in favor of approving this legislation covering the compact signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8 is a resolution to expedite the rebate of tobacco taxes. And Mr. Baker?
Yes. This goes hand in hand with the compact. It is a resolution to give assurances that just as soon as the Cherokee Nation receives the collected taxes that are in the excess amount to the border shops, that within 30 days, or not more than 30 days from our receipt, that we'll pass them on to the border smoke shops. I put this in the form of a motion.
Second. Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, item 9 is a resolution recognizing Sheriff Prather of Rogers County as a Cherokee Citizen of Honor. Ms. Calmwalk.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Tonight, I'd like to acknowledge Sheriff Prather and his family. They're an incredible group of Cherokees that are heavily involved in our community, but under Sheriff Prather's administration, we were able to bring back the compact with our Sheriff's Department in order to make sure, cross-deputization, thank you, and make sure, because with the 2 largest gaming facilities in Rogers County, that was very critical, and we were without it for 8 years. So he has not always served at the Sheriff's Department, and he did serve at the City of Claremore Police Department before, but we're proud to see him retire in a successful career, and I appreciate the council's willingness to bring this forward and officially acknowledge him on behalf of the tribe. So I move to approve.
Second the motion.
Moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And down to announcements. Do we have any announcements? I'd like to recognize some people in the audience from Mays County. There's Bruce Taylor, and Rachel manages one of the smoke shops there in Mays County, and she's kind of a neighbor of mine. And also from Tulsa County is Mr. Levinson, Lee Levinson. And Bruce, you want to introduce the others that are there?
Well, let's see, we've got Dan Carter from Rose Top Owners, and maybe is that all of us? Oh, Joe Levy from the Well area, Joe Lane, and the other smoke shop owners. I'd like to thank council on everyone's behalf for passing this compact tonight. It's been a long, arduous journey, and we're glad to get it behind us, and especially thank the chief for all of his hard work, and we're just happy to see it.
I'm scared to, but I want to ask Mr. Levinson if he'd like to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just want to tell everybody, without your efforts, the council received and your hard work, I fought this personally for 3 or 4 years in court. Just to let everybody know, I've never charged anybody a penny. I don't think we were treated fairly. But without the support of this council and the chief fighting for us up until the end we got this compact, we would not be in business. Regardless of what happened or what we came to, I just appreciate the togetherness and, again, the continued support that you gave us till we got it done. Again, I'm speaking on behalf of everybody here. Without the chief and the council, we wouldn't be here. And the people that know all recognize that, every one of them to the T. So, again, I thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mr. Levinson. Mr. Baker?
I'm going to introduce somebody that needs no recognition. Everybody knows But I would, on the day before Veterans Day, I'd like to recognize John Ketcher, World War II veteran, served in the Navy with my uncle for many, many months at one single time. And John, if you'd stand up, I thank you.
Any other announcements? Entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Thornton.
I'd like to announce that the Vian football team happens to be the 2A district champions. Thank you.
Any other? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Have to be number 2.
Move to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.